Ask the Mayor, your chance to ask the Mayor of Weymouth, Bob Hedlund, questions about the town of Weymouth and or anything else that you have concerns about. Ask the Mayor is pre-recorded. And now, here's Bob Hedlund.
Welcome to another edition of Ask the Mayor. I'm your Mayor, Bob Hedlund. Thanks for joining us. And today we're actually taping 2 episodes. We had a large volume of questions that have come in, and I think in this show we're going to do our drawing that we touted last taping, where we'll be picking a temporary replacement for you. Actually, you could come in for that and kind of like guide them if you'd like.
Show them the ropes. It's very complex. Very complicated. They'd probably need an assistant to get them settled in.
So at the end of the show, we'll look for a cue from our cameraman. Maybe we'll, Vanna White is a special, we got Dana Hersey to do the opening. Now we got Vanna White to come in and pull the winning entry for our guest host. Actually, I'm trying to think, Dawn Wells, was that the?
That was Marianne and the Gilligan's Island.
No, Dawn Wells.
Yes.
No, who was the lottery
it was Dawn something, yeah, for years.
On Channel 7 when they did the lottery live?
It was Dawn somebody.
Dawn something, yeah. Well, anyway,
yep.
We'll stick with Vanna White.
Well, as the mayor referenced, the response to the substitute replacement for Jim Melody at Ask the Mayor was just overwhelming.
I think actually the responses were tamped down because most of our regular viewers knew that they would pale in comparison to your abilities and just didn't want to bring that upon themselves.
Well, listen, it can be intimidating, but as I suggested before, it's a very friendly environment. The WETC crew is very friendly. The mayor has been known to be very cordial as folks come in. I said hostile, that's a Freudian slip. Very cordial.
And there's a bunch of pastries out there today that wound up here for a coffee earlier, and we can actually freeze them and reheat them for when our guest comes in. So, all right,
let's
Jim,
a good time roll. Well, listen, we'll get right into the questions.
Questioner,
as always, Bob, I want to remind everybody to send their questions in to askmayorbob@gmail.com. Please, at askmayorbob@gmail.com. He really enjoys the challenging questions. There is no topic that is off base regarding the inquiries to our mayor. Well, Mayor, the first question actually is directed to you and for you. Hi, Mayor. This is from Amy Christina. Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
You are nearly 2 years into a 4-year term. Do you plan to run for re-election? Second part is, why doesn't the town have election awareness boards at every street corner as the November elections are approaching? So any thoughts about re-election to date, Mayor? And regarding the general election, I think they're looking for election awareness boards, which I don't think I've ever seen in any town anywhere.
All right. 2 years in, 4-year term. Do I plan to run for re-election? I honestly do not know, and if I did know, I would say I didn't know, because it's so far down the road, and we have our school committee and our council races occurring from the time we're taping this in a very short amount of time, and I don't even know if this will be up and running by the time the election happens, because I think this is episode number 2. As I mentioned in the open, we're doing 2 shows.
You are correct, sir.
Because of the volume of mail we got. So it's too early. I have no idea. I'm a little, I'll editorialize at a later show about my feelings about where I am in terms of public service. And then the second part of that, please.
Was just why are there not more election awareness boards at every street corner, or any election awareness boards at every street corner? I don't know if I'm familiar with election awareness.
I believe what Amy is asking about is a lot of towns put out signage around town reminding people that there's a municipal election.
Okay.
It's a great question, and last year, during the presidential election, I noticed we didn't have them, and again, being new in this position, and I think Braintree, for instance, does a great job, because I see one in the Landing.
Oh, geez.
They put them up. I noticed Hingham does it, and Quincy does it. So surrounding communities put that kind of signage out to create awareness and hopefully boost turnout and remind people to get out and vote. And we didn't have any, and we actually invested in some, and we did put them out for the presidential election.
Excellent.
They are not out at the moment, and I noticed the one in the Landing that Braintree has out, and it sparked my recollection and wondered why. And since it is new for the town to have it, let's just say that there was a miscommunication down the down the chain as to who would be responsible for getting them out. And that has been rectified, so by the time this airs, well, by the time this airs, the election will have been over, but hopefully you will have seen those signs out. I think that the way the responsibility is moving forward, I personally think that it is the clerk's responsibility to get those out. That's how it is structured in other communities. The clerk is our chief elections officer, so they would be the ones to keep an eye on that. And we have, and by the way, in Weymouth, under our charter, the clerk reports to the town council, does not report to the mayor. They're autonomous from the mayor, they report to the town council. So we've had a quick meeting on that, and we've offered to, provide the DPW to the clerk's office to get the signage out. And in the past, we took the responsibility to get my office took the responsibility to get the inserts printed up. But we wanted to clarify that this year, and the clerk will be the lead person moving forward, I hope.
Well, regardless of the timing of when this episode airs, we always encourage people to get involved. We encourage them to vote. We hope this airs before the election.
Right, and
everybody get out and
vote.
And
I just want to add to that, we are using social media much more effectively to remind people. We've posted, things on the town webpage, on my personal mayor's page, Bob Headland Mayor, if you're looking for that, and some of the other town resources to get that word out. So
excellent.
It is our goal to, remind people.
Well, Bob, a different direction here, but a road that we have been traveling recently regarding the murals on the overpass, but this comes in two forms here.
Now it seems to be a recurring theme.
Well, you know what? It's certainly top of mind with a lot of folks. And this particular question, inquiry has two parts. So I'll start with the first, which leads to that. Mayor Headland, I am for the idea of having the mural. However, in the past...
What's the tally now?
I think we're up to 5
to 1.
So when you
and
have
I know the one no vote is watching.
But I encourage folks to, when they see the mayor out and about, or me, please give us your feedback regarding those murals, so I can continue to tip the scales.
This isn't exactly like the most burning important issue in town, but I do appreciate the input.
Well, certainly it's been top of mind at the Ask the Mayor program. Mayor Headland, I am for the idea of having the mural. However,
this is the mural, but not the lettering. The mural. We have two different issues here, Jim.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
No.
Tomato. Oh, let's call the whole thing off.
No, but one is the garden club talking about a mural under the overpass.
That's accurate.
I think it was either Pleasant Street or Summer Street, right?
I thought it was down by the Heights. Pleasant. Okay,
Pleasant.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. And then I talked about my idea about the lettering on the bridge itself.
In the Heights.
Right.
Excellent.
So I think this is more mural related.
Okay, so Ed Hartnett wrote this question, and by the way...
But now I'm looking at your thing. It says Weymouth Heights. So there's some confusion here.
Mural on the overpass in East Weymouth. But listen,
I think the garden
club... It's a big town.
Is this Ed? Is this Ed?
Yeah, this is Ed Hartnett.
A regular viewer.
Yeah.
So Ed, I think the initial, if memory serves me correct, the initial recommendation from...
Susie Sullivan, it was at the garden club.
But it wasn't in the Heights, was it? I thought it was down on Pleasant Street.
No, I'm with you. I thought it was Pleasant Street.
Staff seems to recall it was Pleasant Street.
Well, there might be some sort of image association in lieu of the fact that
the cameraman's actually paying attention while he's working on the show.
Well, either way, wherever the mural is located, Ed's point is a little different, or he's trying to make kind of a different point. He's for the idea of the mural, wherever it may be. However, in the past, we've had trouble with tagging or graffiti being applied to that overpass and to signage in general. If you can find some way to protect it from vandals, I would not have a problem with it. So there you go.
I don't know how we can protect it from vandals, but that is an issue. But I think the more improvements we make, I think it sets a better tone. What's that old, who had it, Bratton, the broken windows theory, fix it right away rather than let it linger, and it promotes more vandalism. I noticed that a guy spent all summer long working and prepping and painting Denleys. And the week he was done, somebody took a can of spray paint and did some stupid
Thank you, very little.
graffiti caricature, which they've left up. I don't know why they just didn't go paint over it really quick.
And I apologize
to them
for
what
that.
idiot did that. You can fill in the blank. It was either a knucklehead, an idiot. I'm quoting Menino when he says knucklehead. A knucklehead, an idiot, a miscreant, a punk, whatever. But
well, we're hoping that they're becoming more of short supply in the town of Weymouth. Everybody that's in that category.
I appreciate Ed's concern, but we don't want to surrender and be intimidated and not do something because we're afraid of that. You know what I mean?
No, sure. We don't want to give into that action for sure. And I vow to take the first shift when that mural gets done, Bob, the first 12 hours, I will be manning that post to make sure that there's no vandals. How's that sound? Listen, my other comment, and this is once again still from Ed Hartnett, my other comment is that a resident from Weymouth brought up down by Sacred Heart, there's an island which leads onto Washington Street in the landing, which has a bush or a number of bushes that obstructs the view to the entrance to Washington Street. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Do you want me to read that again? It's kind of complex.
Just give me the streets.
All right, the resident down by Sacred Heart, there's an island which leads onto Washington Street in the landing, which has a bush or a number of bushes that obstruct the view to the entrance of Washington Street. Can you look into that and bring it to the attention of Public Works?
So when you come on onto the merge,
Could lead to an accident.
There's a yield sign. There's not a stop sign there when you're coming down Commercial to bear right in front of DeLagus' property. I think I know what he's talking about. I will look at that, yeah.
Well, it's...
I hope that's maybe one of our Adopt-A-Island sites too, because a lot of people do great work on our Adopt-A-Islands and get creative, but you don't want to create a hazard for motorists and create any visibility issues, so we will look at that. Ed is like...
He's on the ball.
The all-seeing eye on the top of the pyramid in the back of a dollar bill. Ed is the Weymouth watchdog.
Well, I would like to just make
but a positive watchdog. We have other clowns in town who fancy themselves as watchdog, but to create and stir up trouble. But Ed's a positive watchdog that brings good things to our attention. We appreciate that.
We call those people wooden spoons. They're always trying to stir the pot. And I want to just get back to my ability to read the questions, the size of the type, the punctuation. The bush that he capitalized the bush. So it says there's a bush standing there. I'm looking for George Bush.
Well, he's emphasizing because he wants us to know it's a bush, not a tree, not a shrub.
A shrubbery!
Not a weed.
I thought it might be one of the members of the presidential families. What do I know at the end of the day? Well, listen, we're going to stay on town improvements. This one is related to Great Esker Park and the Julia Road field. Dear Mayor, you told me to get back to you on the cleanup of the above area, okay? So apparently you had a conversation about cleaning up Greg Esker or Julia Road field with someone?
I remember the question.
Okay.
It was some time ago, but for the viewers that hadn't seen it, the question was, actually I don't totally remember it, but it was about dog waste and the general...
Oh, that's right.
Remember that?
The old dog, yeah, I do.
Right. So, and I think I indicated that we had part of the community corrections program, people from Norfolk County going down there to do some cleanup, and it wasn't targeted for dog waste or poop. It was targeted for what I noticed on a visit I took down there of all kinds of flotsam and jetsam that's along the walking trail. Litter, significant amount of litter, and people, please use the trash cans, but huge amount of litter and tree branches and fallen trees and things like that. So evidently he's following up.
Well, and the good news is, Bob, you hear a lot of people, I'm sure, knock on your door, and you never get any feedback as to, how did you do once you did the job?
Well, I remember I said, why don't you go check it out and let us know? Because I haven't been down there since the work was done. So evidently he took our advice.
And here we go. He says, well, I'm happy to say for what they did a good job. It looked like no one cared about the area.
And the price was right.
Aha, there you go.
I got to give kudos to the DPW though, who did provide support. I think they had a chipper down there. The work release people, I almost said convicts, the work release people were dragging out some of the growth, and our staff was chipping it, but I'm glad it looks good.
Well, and as a quick update, he said summer camp was held there this year, and the staff did as good a job as they could to clean it up. I personally have other issues about the area, and I hope that Julia Road also gets a makeover that it's going to be taken care of by the town. On a separate note, I am interested in filling in for Jim Melody if the occasion comes my way and am I chosen. Jim is great on the show. Thank you, Ed. Anyone who fills in for him will have a tough time filling his shoes. I encourage more people to watch and ask questions in this great forum. P.S. He's taking pictures of that Julia Road area, and he's happy to show you should you care to see. Thank you, Ed, for all the love. We appreciate it, brother.
So I'm assuming, because the bag is overflowing with responses, that he's been entered into that. So,
yeah.
And we are drawing the guest host winner.
Yes, at the conclusion of the show, we will. The tension is mounting. We will select the guest host for Ask the Mayor at a future date, which will probably be our next taping, if that's okay with the WETC people, I would
Which
imagine.
should be what? How many weeks away?
Well, traditionally we do them the last week of the month, which will be Thanksgiving.
Every few weeks.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have a big Thanksgiving episode here where we give thanks for all the great things that are going on in our incredible town. Well, Bob, I've got, once again, I'd like to use the discretion of the host.
I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking. Great minds think alike.
I hope it involves a turkey.
No. Well, yes, indirectly.
Okay. Oh, hey now. Why do I feel like all roads lead to me on this one? All right, well, listen, I'm going to play the card that I get to play occasionally, and I rarely do, where I have an inquiry for the mayor. It's not written or scripted, but Bob, I've been driving through Jackson Square, I guess for the past month, and I see, and with all due respect to everybody that's employed or, in supervisory positions at the town, I'm seeing an eyesore right beside George Washington Toma. There's a building that looks like it should be somewhere in downtown Boston. Instead, it's 5 stories, 6 stories, condos, apartments. The lot size looks like it can't accommodate the building structure, but lo and behold, we got it. So can you comment on that? And I don't mean to take a cheap shot at you if you were involved, but that building is, like I said, it's somewhat of an eyesore. In my opinion.
No, you saying the magnitude of it, or the
size, the
architecture?
placing. I'm hearing some. I know it's difficult to get building permits in this town, and all of a sudden we see that thing. It almost seems to come up out of nowhere, and certainly not an appropriate, sized lot.
So I think you're talking about the McLaughlin development, which
It's
was
new construction.
the
It's distinctive.
the old Jackson Square paint property.
Oh, was that building? Okay, I didn't even notice that they took that building down. Okay.
No, they didn't.
Oh, they did. Yeah,
They didn't,
I was going to say.
actually. So the quick history on that, Joe, what was the family's last name? What was it? Striano. The Striano family, had that for a long time, and
On the vacant lot.
yeah, there was
Okay.
a dirt lot there that
Yeah.
was parking and
Yeah, I thought it was part of
for a long
the
time, right?
municipal parking lot down there.
Right. So Joe was retiring. No one else in the family wanted to get in the paint business, I guess. So they sell the property. They're right.
Yeah.
Retirement money, whatever. And there were, I know, different people looked at it and obviously looked at the zoning to see what could be done there. And a developer from Quincy, McLaughlin, bought it. And this is going back a number of years now, before I arrived as mayor.
Okay.
And I think, as my recollection was, he had a concept for these micro apartments, which is a
I've
trend
heard of that.
in some places.
Yeah.
And the East Weymouth Neighborhood Association took great exception to the proposal, fought that. And I think there was a couple incarnations. And the long story is that ultimately, after a long, drawn-out battle, and I'm trying to think if it went to court or not, but I think one of our WTC staff here, who was invested in the community, had some opinions at that time and didn't like what was being proposed, along with the East Weymouth Neighborhood
I think their location abuts that property, as a matter of fact. Is that fair to say, Mayor? Do you guys, the WETC gang, where they're...
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, after this battle and fighting and give and take, this is what the town approved prior to my administration. So unfortunately, I'm sure everyone that rides by like you is going to think that this happened under our watch.
Yeah, sure.
We actually reached out to the developer when we came in, and after I hired Bob Luongo as our planning department director, we expressed our reservations about the project on paper, where it was in the process.
The size, I mean, it's the biggest building, in East Weymouth?
And Bob, and Bob's made it very clear to me, and I think he may have stated it in a Mayor's Monthly Forum we had, that our planning department director, Bob, stated that this would not happen under the process that we have instituted and under his watch. One thing that bothers him as a planner is where it's located on the lot, for instance. Forget the size for a minute,
right,
and forget design. Everyone has opinions on design,
sure,
and you never get consensus on design. And I got in trouble because and as an aside on a show, this show, I think, I said something like, everybody's an amateur architect, and everyone has an opinion. So someone got very upset with me on that because it was regarding a building design in the landing that I thought was attractive and someone else didn't think was attractive. But this one actually is more like design-wise what that person wanted to see in the landing, ironically, so it just shows you that not everyone's going to agree on a design of a building.
Sure.
But Bob doesn't like where it's situated in the law. It doesn't fit what he believes are sound planning principles. But what ultimately came out of that meeting was that the developer had already invested too much, was already in the permitting, already had been approved, actually. It was already approved.
So the horse was out of the barn.
Long out of the barn before I arrived, and was unwilling to start the process over, which would have triggered him having to come back into all the various boards. We tried.
Yeah.
We couldn't get him to do it. He was on, his sound legal ground, his rights as the property owner for an approved project. So it happened.
fair.
It happened before I came in, and we got to live with it and move on. I personally, I get the concern about density and all of that. It's in a town square, which, rather than have it pop up in a neighborhood abutting single-family homes and all that, which our zoning changes will prevent moving forward. But I don't know. I'll see. I'll wait. I guess I'll reserve judgment till the building's done to see how it looks. But it's not the ugliest building I've ever seen come up in Weymouth. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's just distinctive by its size, if nothing else. When you drive through that area, I mean, it's
And one of the other things Bob Luongo, our planning department director, wanted to see was, the whole thing configured and actually, have some street front presence with some commercial space, which that building doesn't have, but he left the old building up still. So the old Jackson Square paint building and the flower shop was there for a while. That's still there. So he got a little commercial presence there, and hopefully he spruces that building up a little bit. But as Bill Belichick would say,
it is what it is.
Yeah. So, our zoning changes are trying to address some of the issues that were raised when that was first proposed.
Well, I wish you luck because it's like I said, there's so much construction going on as we drive around town. Needless to say, it's exciting to see, but one of these things is not like the other as you drive through that square. Hey, we want to remind everybody to keep the questions coming in to askmayorbob@gmail.com. Askmayorbob@gmail.com. Well, Bob, let's move on to a question from Ed Crow. Probably the shortest question we may have had in quite some time, and we appreciate that, Ed. Hi, Mayor. I was hoping that you could explain why the road and light construction on Middle Street and Route 53 has taken several months, and if there is a completion date. Thank you for your time. So the road and light construction on Middle Street and Route 53 has taken several months, according to Ed Crow.
Middle Street and 53, I think, would put us at Shaw's Stop and Shop, the site of the last major skirmish in the King Philip War.
Ooh, tell us more about that.
That town land across the street.
Oh, no kidding, huh?
You see a brick, another landmark he's unfamiliar with, like
is anybody familiar with that?
Like Station 2. No.
Come on, this is what we love. That's that
defense,
map you talked about last
I know we
last
tweeted you a
show.
little bit about that, but in defense of our citizen inquisitor, I'm sure there are tens of thousands of people that go by that site on a daily basis that don't know the history of that
And
site.
I love that stuff.
And we're actually working, you know what's great, Jim? We got some plans. I don't want to let the cat too much out of the bag, but in conjunction with our 400th celebration coming up, we have some exciting plans for that site. We're actually in process of doing that with no tax money thus far being expended.
Wow.
We got a really good deal. We actually got some free services provided to us by a firm that's done some conceptual work for that site. More on a later show or a development update.
King Philip, son of Massasoit.
In answer to his question, I don't think he's referring to that site. He's probably talking about the two intersections down the street, I would say, because we have major work going on at Pleasant and Washington and Mutton and Washington. The Pleasant and Washington thing is a headache this week. We had flooding, believe it or not, on Route 3 that caused an overflow of water to come down on Pleasant Street that flooded out Pleasant.
Wow.
Mass Highway has addressed that in the last 24 hours and fixed that, or MassDOT. And then today I heard from my sister who yelled at me, who commutes that way.
That's what sisters are for.
Who commutes that way, and others, that the lights were an absolute mess today.
Boy.
He might have been caught in this. So what happened today was they are actually tweaking, engineers from the state, not the town, the state, are tweaking the signalization sequencing. And we expect that in the next 24 hours as of this taping, that will be set and done.
Well,
and then he could be talking. Oh, and I'm sorry. In answer to the question too, why did it take so long? There was an actual delay at that intersection work for the footings for the new light stanchions, which have to go pretty deep because the the ones that hang overhead, so they're bigger poles.
Sure.
They hit ledge.
Oh, boy.
They didn't anticipate having to do any rock drilling on
blasting.
that project. And that was a bit of a delay there. And it's I can't wait to get the state out of there and get the road paved. And then he could be also talking about Middle and Libby, for all I know.
Okay. Well, listen, there's a lot going on for sure. But as we look to conclude this episode of Ask Mayor Bob, the tension's been mounting. The stage is set.
I haven't seen Wheel of Fortune in probably 30 years. Pat Sajak
I
hasn't
watched-
aged, by the way.
What's
What's the music like?
Very good. Vanna,
White.
enter in, please.
I say no. The citizen advocate.
I will be
It's
the
his
one who
replacement.
chooses my replacement. The host, the co-host for
And no
Ask Mayor
expense is
Bob.
spared with the props here.
There is, wait a minute, hold on, I want to make sure I get through the bottom, get through the ones that are on the top. Mayor, I pulled it, I think it's only appropriate that you read it.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Ladies and
Wait,
gentlemen.
can I just?
All of
There's
Weymouth
one name
awaits.
I don't want to hear.
All
Please.
of Weymouth awaits. The drum roll. Da, 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 da. My name is Ronald Walker. I'm a 57-year-old retired Army Navy vet, and I would like to put my name in the hat for guest host. Thank you. Ronald Walker, come on down. You are the winner of the inaugural guest host for Ask Mayor Bob. Ask the Mayor. You're coming in. It's going to be a big day. We're excited. The limo is being gassed up. The caterer is being called.
There's no contact information. No, I mean, other than the Gmail address. So hopefully he checks his email.
Well, we'll be reaching
might
out
have to
you
go to
soon.
a backup.
Hey, looking forward to meeting you personally. I will be here to coach you through all the little nuances. I think that's appropriate for that day. You're going to have a great day. It's a great show. The cast and crew is fun.
Army
The
and
May's a
Navy.
blast.
Army and Navy.
Well, that's okay. We're going to want to learn more about that. Needless
So
to say.
clearly, potentially, I guess, this guy could bring some discipline and order to the show.
Well, we have calisthenics a half hour before every show, and he makes me jog around the town hall twice. So I don't know if you'll do that to him. Well, listen, we are officially wrapping up another episode of AskMayorBob.com. Please keep the questions coming.
Tune into our next episode.
Why wouldn't you?
For our guest host, Mr. Ron Walker, who Army Navy vet. I wonder what part of Weymouth he's from.
Well, we're going to find all about Mr. Walker. I have a feeling.
I hope he is from Weymouth. That's got to be a criteria, right?
I wonder if he's any relation to Jay Walker, Attorney Jay Walker.
Okay, well.
Well, we'll all find out together. Hey, once again, we
will
thank you
screen
for tuning
him. We'll
in.
vet him.
Please stay tuned for I Dream of Jeannie.
Good one.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
If you have a question, please email the mayor at askmayorbob@gmail.com. That's askmayorbob@gmail.com. Maybe your question will be answered on the next episode of Ask the Mayor.